Showboating Sports, guys. It's your man, Sky Free here. Canelo is in trouble in this 175 division and in boxing, period. And I'm going to talk to you guys about why I say Canelo Alvarez is overrated. So before we get started, if you're new to the channel, please like, subscribe, and share. And hey, let's get on with the video. All right. So I'm going to tell you guys how I feel about this. I feel Canelo is overrated. And let me tell you why. Canelo has been and before you guys start going, you guys will straight up and say, I'm prejudiced or whatever else. I'm sure that's coming. Or I'm hating on Canelo when I'm truly a boxing fan. You know what I mean? And so the reason why I say Canelo is overrated and he's in trouble is because Canelo, let's just be honest, man. Let's just be straight up honest. Canelo has been picking and choosing who he fights for the past 8 or 9 years, ever since he took a loss to Floyd Mayweather. You guys will say that Canelo is fighting the best and he's fighting for legacy. Now, this is what I will say. Canelo has skills, but he's not a great fighter. And someone pointed out to me that, because I was saying Canelo's a great fighter, but, you know, we use the term great so loosely that it has to be earned. You know what I mean? Fighters like Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, Sugar Ray Leonard, Hearns, Hagler, all those guys were great fighters, you know? And you have to earn that. And I don't think Canelo, well, I know Canelo hasn't earned that. Canelo's best win is Triple G, and he lost the first fight. The ref saved him. I really feel he lost the fight to Lara. Right? And this is the thing with Canelo. Canelo has always had some skills, but when you don't use those skills tend to fade away. That's why when boxers don't have a fight and they come in with ring rust, well, when you don't take good competition, then your skills would diminish a little bit. Like, look at Earl Spence. Earl Spence said, nah, man, I don't want to tune up because I believe in myself. And what happens is when you take tune-ups after tune-up after tune-up, then your skills go down. Canelo has always had good skills, but if you've noticed here lately, every time he's had a fight, he fought B.J. Saunders, he fought Caleb Smith, he fought Plant. He used the same thing. He walks those fighters down. They get tired because he's smothering their punches. They keep fighting off the back foot. And over 8 or 9 rounds, those guys get tired. And Canelo has always gotten, well, in the recent years, Canelo is normally around the 9th and 10th round. You can start seeing that he's getting a little bit winded. Well, after he done wore these fighters down, what happens? They make silly mistakes and he knocks them out. I'm not saying that these guys are just the worst fighters on the planet, but these fighters are not the upper echelon of boxers out there. You know, Caleb Plant is a decent fighter. The problem with Caleb Plant is around the 9th round, his conditioning. His conditioning is not the best. Plus, Caleb Plant does not have a lot of pop to keep people back. Caleb Plant can hit, but he doesn't have that pop to keep people honest, you know? And but I do think Caleb Plant is a much better fighter than B.J. Saunders and all the rest of them. I actually like Caleb Plant. So I give Canelo points for beating Caleb Plant. I really do. Now, when you look at B.J. Saunders, man, he's never been a good fighter. You got these fighters over in UK, and they keep fighting all these people padding their records, right? And Canelo keeps going after fighters that are in his wheelhouse. You see what I'm saying? And that's what a lot of fighters do. They try to pick fighters that's in their wheelhouse. But then you got fighters like Terrence Crawford or Earl Spence is like, anybody in my division that's supposed to be a good fighter, I want all the belts. I don't skip over divisions and any of that stuff. But what Canelo has been doing is he finds a fighter that he feels that works good for his wheelhouse, that will back up, will let him come forward, and as he smothers their punches, he'll catch him with something and knock him out. And that's what Canelo has been relying on for quite some time. So this time he got a boxer in Bivol, Bivol is a solid boxer. And I haven't watched a lot of Bivol, so I thought Canelo would just destroy Bivol like he's been doing everything else, because that's what he's been doing, relying on trying to knock people out. And I think that was his intentions. But Bivol kept his composure. Bivol is a fundamentally sound fighter. He worked the jab. He used his feet, which made Canelo use his feet. Now, Canelo has upper body movement, but he doesn't have any good foot movement. So that's why he wants to avoid fighters like Demetrius Andrade and some of these other fighters that give good movement, because Canelo has never had good movement. Look at, and I know you guys are going to say Bivol was a bigger fighter. Well, guess what? Canelo was 15 pounds heavier than Floyd Mayweather. And Floyd Mayweather did him the same way. Bivol didn't do anything special. Bivol worked the jab and moved, used angles. And as Canelo did, he made the adjustments, right? That's a fundamentally sound fighter that used his jab. And he won, in my book, 10 rounds, right? One round, maybe the second round was a swing round or whatever else. But anyway, I gave him 10-2, right? Even though the judges have been trying to help him out. So Bivol, like I said, Bivol didn't do anything special. He did the same exact thing that Shakur Stevenson did to Valdez. The same exact game plan with the same exact results. If Canelo's the face of boxing, he saw what Shakur did. You get in there with Bivol, and Bivol's doing the same thing. Wouldn't you make adjustments? Everybody keeps saying Canelo can make adjustments. Canelo used to make adjustments. But when you keep going up in weight because you want to fight bigger fighters that are slower so you can be the faster fighter, and you relying on your punches to try to knock these fighters out, like Plant and BJ Saunders. Well, when you get a fighter that you can't knock out, or a fighter that's sound with good conditioning, you're going to run into problems. He would have ran into problems if Plant had been well conditioned. If Plant had been well conditioned and maybe hired a nutritionist and someone to work him out and get him a little bit stronger, a conditioning coach, a real good conditioning coach to put a little bit more strength in him, he would have had a little bit more pop. And then, with him with him coming back on the back foot, boxing off the back foot, he's not planting his feet down and getting enough pop off his punches to get respect from Canelo. So Canelo finds fighters like that don't know what to do, instead of taking those good angles with good pop, whatever else. Anyway, so Canelo is choosing these people. Bivol didn't do anything great, but he outworked Canelo. I mean, it wasn't even a close fight. And if you say this guy is the face of boxing, if Canelo had went in and was boxing and outboxing Bivol, and Bivol knocked him out, I would say Canelo was in with a much bigger fighter, and it caused him problems, right? That's what I would have said. But Bivol did to him the same thing that Spence did to Mikey Garcia. Spence just boxed him. Spence didn't try to stop Mikey. Oh, he didn't stop Mikey because he didn't try to stop Mikey. If he had fought Mikey like he fought Ugas, he would have hurt Mikey and stopped Mikey. Spence was just using skills. That's all Spence did. That's all he needed to do, because Mikey said, "Oh, I saw something. Oh, I'm a little bit better." So Spence just did that to prove to him, and people still didn't give Spence credit. But anyway, we're talking about Canelo here. Canelo had these guys on here, and as he's fighting these dudes, he's not showing the skill sets that he once had, because he keeps taking all these easy touches. And the reason why I'm saying that Canelo is definitely in trouble now is because if he goes back and fight Bivol again, Bivol is going to be more confident this time. Bivol is going to stop those arm punches and go to the body. Bivol will stop him. So Canelo will not take that fight. And if he tries to go fight Beterbiev is more of a monster. He's going to come out and he's going to try to destroy Canelo, and that's what he'll do. If Canelo takes another fight at 175 and gets knocked out, you might as well start saying his career is almost over. Now, the reason why I say he's in trouble is because the people that he's dodging, he's got to come down to 168. He can't go up and fight Usyk. Usyk's going to hurt him. Can't fight Beterbiev. He definitely don't want to go back in there with Bivol, so I don't see him taking that fight. If he's smart, he wouldn't. So let's say he moves down to 168. Who's at 168 is David Benavidez. Well, Andrade is trying to move up. Demetrius Andrade is trying to move up. So hopefully he'll be there. And then Jamal Charlo will still be at 160, or maybe he'll move up. And I think that he should move up. And I think that Canelo, Andrade, Benavidez, and Charlo should all fight each other the same way that Spence and Crawford and them are doing down in the welterweight division. So that way we'll know exactly which fighter is the best, And then again, if Canelo beats all those guys, right? And you guys stop talking about, those guys need to fight each other and cancel each other. Man, no. Who else is Canelo going to fight? If he goes down to 168, he's got to defend those belts or give up the belts. He can't go down to 160 because remember he said he can't make 160 no more, right? So who is he going to fight? Triple G? Triple G's career is over. Nobody wants to see Triple G. Triple G hasn't been good in a while. He looked like crap his last fight. You know what I mean? So, and Triple G don't want to fight Charlo or Andrade. And that's the same reason why Canelo don't want to fight him. And you guys can keep lying to yourself all you want and keep telling me how Canelo is chasing greatness. No, Canelo is chasing a sack full of money and trying to fabricate greatness. I know it, you know it, and everybody know it. And that's why none of his fans will say Canelo needs to go fight those guys. And I blame all of these other boxers for keep giving Canelo respect. You know, they keep saying, oh, Canelo is so great. He's my number one pound for pound. Number one pound for pound doing that? Getting outboxed by somebody that has 19 fights? Now, when you look at Amir Khan and Canelo fought, Amir Khan was ahead on the scorecards. So Amir Khan was a better boxer at that point. But Canelo was bigger and stronger and knocked him out. So if that was the case, that should have been exactly what happened to Canelo. He should have been outboxing Bivol and got knocked out. But he didn't, because Bivol wasn't trying to knock him out. Bivol was just having an easy fight doing fundamentally sound boxing. That's all he did. But Canelo couldn't even keep up with it. You know why? Because he's cherry picking. He's trying to cherry pick. And that's exactly what he's been doing. Trying to fabricate greatness. You can't fabricate greatness. It's not going to happen. You can keep picking and choosing who you're going to fight, but eventually you're going to run into a good sound boxer while your skills are steady diminishing because you're not sharpening them up. Iron sharpens iron. You have to take those fights. And that's why you hear Earl Spence says, I don't want a tune-up. He don't want one. What's going on, Mr. Finesse? Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm in here just cooking on this real quick. Yeah, but I want to give my thoughts on this Canelo thing because I'm tired of everybody keep trying to hype Canelo up, and now they're trying to say some stupid stuff like Canelo was he was in with a much bigger and stronger fighter, and that ain't what it was. But Bivol used the same skills and same game plan as Shakur did. And once he did that, oh yeah, of course. Dude, I remember Mr. Finesse. He said, do you remember me calling in a few weeks ago? Was not saying exactly what would happen to him. He's good, but he is overrated. Listen, I agree that he has been overrated. Now, you know, slip of the tongue, this is what I want to say. I want to say Canelo is skillful, but like so many others, and I'm glad that you said it, because when you came in, you said, hey, Canelo is not great. You have to prove greatness. And you were dead right. So I've been on that and correcting myself, because so far too many times we always say this fighter is great just because they got skills. Canelo has had skills, but right now his skills have diminished because he's been taking too many easy touches, right? And I'm saying that when you look at Canelo, he's not showing a good skill set. He got beat by a fundamentally sound boxer. That's what happened. He said, Mr. Finesse said it wasn't the weight, it was the style. Exactly. He did the same thing to Canelo that Shakur did to Valdez. Those guys down there are not fighting at a Canelo's gym. They trying to pick and choose who they fight, and the fans are backing them up. And what it is the chickens came home to roost. That's exactly what it was. Canelo has been shown that over the years, he has not been doing something right, you know, and that's why these guys are taking these PEDs and all this other stuff. Because I don't know where Canelo is losing his skill set, but I didn't see none of them skills last night. None. And Canelo has a little bit more skills than what he's got, but he just got beat on a jab and a little bit of footwork, which Canelo has never had great footwork. He's never had footwork. He has upper body movement, no footwork, and that's why he doesn't want to fight Andrade. He doesn't want to fight a Charlo. He doesn't want to fight those guys because he knows those guys are going to move around and he can't keep up with that. So Canelo wants a fighter that he can walk down, that's going to back up and get tired fighting off the back foot, and then he lands this punch. And Bivol said in the press conference, they asked him about Canelo's power. He said Canelo doesn't have a lot of power. You know, some power is God-given. Like you look at Wilder and some of these other guys, that's God-given power. Canelo tries to hit hard. He puts everything into his punch trying to hit hard, and he doesn't hit like a light heavyweight. And it's true. It's true. It's true. Mr. Finesse said, crazy how his fans were booing him after the fight. Man, it's like this. They can't get mad at Canelo because they've been backing Canelo up. They've been backing him up all this time. Every time he picks a fighter, they go out there and say just how good Yildirim is, Rocky Fielding, B.J. Saunders. None of them guys are good. None of them guys are good. And they know it. Them guys ain't good. Those guys are not good. Yep. Said he was throwing one punch at a time, trying to throw everything with power. Bivol kept turning him off the ropes. Yeah, and you know what's funny? Bivol played it safe. Bivol is not the fastest fighter out there. He just stuck to fundamentally sound boxing. That's all he did. And if Bivol did him like that, imagine what Demetrius Andrade would do to Canelo. He will embarrass Canelo because Canelo got embarrassed last night. You know what I mean? And see, those guys are not going to be like Bivol. They're going to go in for the kill. They're going to go try to knock him out. That's what's going to happen. Antonio Luna said, "You're horrible." Hey, man, I want you guys to be honest, man. I want you guys to be honest about Canelo for once, man. Would you guys keep backing Canelo up on these fights, man? Canelo done put himself in a bad situation now. He has, because he can't stay at 175. He can't stand at 175, man, because Bivol is going to knock him out next time, and Berterviev will knock him out. That's just what's going to happen. So guess what he's forced to do? He's got to move to 168. He's got to defend against Benavidez. I'm not saying that Benavidez can beat him, definitely, but it's going to show it. When was Andrade's last fight? Man, Andrade haven't had one. Well, actually, Andrade is moving up to 168 because he wants to get up there where Canelo is. So his fight was already scheduled, but he got hurt, and he's leaving the zone. He's leaving Eddie Hearn him. He's leaving him. And so he's going to be right in the mix. Mr. Finesse said Trout, Lara, Triple G, Plant, and Khan was outboxing Canelo, so we seen that before. Yeah, we seen it before. And we also saw these judges trying to rob Bivol last night. Man, they put Canelo ahead on the scorecards by 4 rounds. Canelo didn't win the first 4 rounds, man. And it's that kind of stuff right there is what's giving Canelo a pass. If Canelo had been, it's like this. If Canelo had been fighting all these other guys and not jumping around, picking and choosing, Canelo's skills would still be there. I think Canelo is kind of like, you know how people suffer from like ring rust from when they haven't been in there, because Canelo would have a game plan for that. He would have a plan B. He would come up with something different. Canelo hasn't shown anything different within the last 4 fights. Nothing. Plant, he did the same thing. B.J. Saunders, Caleb Smith, and Bivol. All 4 of those fights, he did the same exact tactics. And all Bivol did was jabbed him and turned him. And that's sad for the face of boxing, man. That's sad. Mr. Finesse said 115, 113 is a robbery. Bivol was one mistake from them stealing this fight. Yeah, they would have stole the fight. They would have stole it. Floyd Mayweather has Conor McGregor on his record. Yeah, he does. But this is the thing. That's padding his record. And that's cool. Because Floyd, when he was Pretty Boy Floyd, he fought everybody, man. He fought Diego Corrales, man. Chico was a monster. Floyd gave that dude his first loss. Floyd has fought a lot of Hall of Famers. Canelo's best fight is Triple G, and he lost the first fight. Now, I tell you what, Luna, Antonio, do this for me. Tell me Canelo's 2 best wins. 2 best wins. And I'll give you Triple G as one. But give me his second best win. There's no controversy. That was of a fighter that you say, man, is one of the best fighters right now, top pound for pound. Floyd got Canelo on his record. Yeah, of course. But Floyd said that was his easiest fight, and it was. It was. Because Floyd can't handle movement. It doesn't make Canelo can't handle movement. It doesn't make Canelo garbage. There's a lot of fighters that have weaknesses. That's just his weakness. And he's not spending the time. He said, here we go. Showboat. Yeah. But I'm waiting on Antonio to tell me exactly what's his Canelo's best 2 fights. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, Canelo got to get it together right now, immediately. Because he's in there with the 168-pound division, and Benavidez is there waiting on a defense, a title shot. So Canelo has to defend, or he has to drop that. He cleared out the super middleweight division. Well, listen to this. BJ Saunders, he asked to fight Caleb Smith. He hit up Mauricio Suleiman, WBC, and said, can I fight for the WBC belt and fight Caleb Smith for it? Oh, yeah. Of course he ain't going to answer that. He ain't going to answer who's Canelo's best wins. But this is it. But hold on, I got him. Check this out. So David Benavidez loses his belt on the scale. Canelo rushes in and go in there and get the belt. He asked his fight Caleb Smith, so he got a belt off of him. Then he fights BJ Saunders, beats BJ Saunders, and he beats Plant, and now he's undisputed. And then instead of defending it, he runs up and wanted to fight McAboo and then try to fight Bivol. And Bivol beat the brakes off of him. So now, look where he is right now. He can't stay at 175. He can't. He can't stay at 175. He can't fight Beterbiev. He can't fight Bivol again. If he gets knocked out, that's going to be about the end of his career. So where is he going to be? 168. And Andrade is moving up. And Charlo should move up, but let's say Charlo don't move up, right? Let's say Charlo stays right now at 160, right? Where's Canelo going to go? Who's he going to pick? He can't keep going. What are he going to do? Go fight Triple G? And Triple G is 40 years old? That's not going to get him nowhere. So how is he going to get back to being the face of boxing? Because he has to fight those guys. And guess what? If he hasn't been using, you can't clear 168 without Benavidez. You can't. So that's why I say he's got to go out there and defend it. Because now Benavidez is a mandatory. And guess what? The franchise belt won't help him. Because guess what? He can't jump up. He can't go up over light heavyweight. He can't go fight Usyk. He can't fight Beterbiev. That's over. That's out of it. So what's next for Canelo? Canelo beats Benavidez. Then what's your excuse? It's never enough because so-called fans aren't fans of boxing. You're a fan of an agenda. No, I'm not. Actually, I'm not. I'm more of a fan of boxing than you could ever know. Because let me tell you this. Now listen to me, Antonio. Answer this question. If Spence or Crawford says, I'm going to move down and fight Josh Taylor for all the belts, for legacy, would you call Spence or Bud a duck? I'm going to answer it for you on my end. I would call Spence or Bud a duck if they don't fight each other and clear out this division that they're fighting in to move down and fight another champ. There you have it. Now, I want to hear you. Would you call Spence or Bud a duck if they move down? If Jermell Charlo moves up to go fight somebody else that has a belt at 150, at 160, right? Not his brother, but he fights somebody else because there's another belt out there to be got. And let's say he doesn't fight Brian Castano. Is he ducking? Because the other person that has a belt up there at 160 is not as good of a fighter as Castano, right? So would you say that Jermell is ducking? I would, because he's got to fight Castano. He's got to clear out that division, and he's got to go for undisputed. Canelo ran from Andrade at 154. Then he went to 160. Andrade followed him up, undefeated, with a belt at 154, got a belt at 160. Canelo was one belt away from undisputed at 160. He requested franchise belt from Mauricio Suleiman. He moved up and didn't fight Jamal Charlo. He didn't fight Jamal Charlo. And Andrade, he ducked him. So he's been ducking Andrade for 6 years. See, this is my thing about boxing. You guys take it personal like somebody's mad at Canelo. I said Keith Thurman was ducking. He ducked Spence. And I was hoping that he would lose to Manny Pacquiao because the way he's been ducking people and holding on to those belts and making it where Spence can't become undisputed. Can't call me prejudiced on that. Then I was happy to see Dylan White get knocked out by Fury. Both of them are PED cheats. But I just like Dillian White more. Don't like Dillian White. But you can't call me prejudiced on that. But when I say something about Canelo, oh, it's an agenda. You guys are wrong. You guys are prejudiced. You guys want Canelo. No, I want Canelo to either shoot some fair ones with these people. Stop with all this silly stuff because, see, you can't have it both ways. Canelo fought Kovalev, and you didn't say Kovalev was too big. Oh, Canelo's chasing greatness. When we all know Kovalev took a dive. We all know that. So then he knocks out Kovalev, and then now he goes back up to fight Bivol at 175. It's, oh, God, Bivol is just an incredible fighter. He needs to be pound for pound number one over Crawford because he outboxed Canelo. Everybody's been outboxing Canelo. You guys have the agenda. My agenda is see some damn good boxing. I've been watching boxing from the 80s, and I don't give a damn if you Mexican, white, black, whatever you are. I want to see some good fights, and I'm going to pull for American fighters first. That's the first thing I'm going to do. Outside of that, I'm going to pull for the best to fight the best. And that's what good boxing fans do. And when you don't hold your fighters accountable, then you know what they do? They go out here and do the same dumb shit that Canelo's been doing, jumping around, picking this fight, picking that fight, talking about people need a payday, when that's what it's all about is paydays. Canelo makes more money than anybody. He just dodged a $100 million contract to go fight Bivol and got beat, got the brakes beat off of him. Well, then you should have got knocked out by what's the matter? I had more respect for him. I don't respect that kind of boxing. And Valdez was doing the same thing. Valdez and Canelo is out of the same camp, and all of them are getting caught with some kind of PEDs. That's fighters that are not confident. They ducking other good fighters. Those are fighters that are not good, that are not confident. So guess what? Valdez had to take the fight with Shakur Stevenson and got beat. Easy. Easy. I'm mad at Shakur Stevenson for not turning it on and knocking him on out. Jojo Diaz fought Devin Haney. After dodging Devin Haney. Oh, Devin Haney is the email champ. And guess what happened? Ryan Garcia dodged it too. They all are dodging, man. And I don't care who you are. Nobody gets a pass, man. Nobody. Mr. Vanessa said it's not about how you feel. It's about the actual facts. Facts is Canelo's got a cherry picking gone wrong situation. Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what it was. And you can't fabricate greatness. And I'll repeat that. You can't fabricate greatness. He's trying to fabricate like he's Floyd Mayweather. He's not. He's not. Reynoso is overrated too. His fighters got smoked too. Straight weeks with no adjustments in either fight. So both his fighters got smoked in 2 weeks period of time. And you know what's funny? Canelo watched that fight and then goes and gets in the same exact damn fight and does the same exact thing. And then now they try to say, and then Canelo said, well, I think I did enough to win. You did enough to do what? Because you hit him on the arms a few times? You did enough not to get knocked out? I mean, come on here, man. This ain't about hating on Mexican fighters. This ain't about hating on all that. No, we hating on all the bull crap that's going on in the sport. Because we want to see good boxing. We understand it's a money thing, and that's all that everybody's trying to do is money, 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 money. We get it. But at the end of the day, these fans need to hold these fighters accountable and make them make good fights. Loma shouldn't have never dodged Devin Haney. Canelo shouldn't have never dodged Andrade or Charlo. And neither one of them should have got a franchise belt. You think they gave a franchise belt to anybody but those two? Why did just those two get it? Who? Canelo? Canelo didn't win 3 rounds in my book. Canelo was 10-2. And really, to be honest, he was almost 11-1. Canelo had 1 round out there that he did really good. I was like, okay. And it looked like Bivol was a little bit spent because he went back to his corner. His corner was like, hey, his corner said, hey, did you recover? Are you good? Are you going out? You good? So he went back out there, and the next round, he turned it on. I can't remember exactly which round it was, but he did a good job at that point. I love Morales, Barrera, Chavez, Marquez. They were greats who didn't duck the top guys. Dude, I even like Oscar. I like all those guys. You know what I mean? But when you have somebody like Canelo who says, I'm not fighting no Mexicans. Dude, that's how these boxers eat, man. Think about this. Think about how messed up this shit is. You've been a boxer since you was a teenager, since you was a little kid, fighting through amateurs, fighting through the Olympics, fighting or just whatever for years. Here it is, you 20-something years old, and the top dog goes, nah, I'm not fighting you because we come from the same place. I'm not going to give you a shot. Then guess what? He holds on to those belts for 5 or 10 years. That hurts you because now you can't show how great of a Mexican fighter you are. And then the American fighters can't say that they beat other Mexican greats because it's one Mexican great that's dodging everybody, other Mexicans and that. And if you're Mexican and you're still backing Canelo on there, then you're wrong. You're wrong. I said that and somebody said, man, you can't talk about Mexican issues. That's what somebody, man, I can talk about anything in the sport of boxing. This is not an ethnicity a war. This is boxing, man. It's a lot of good Mexican fighters that have been over the years. Mikey Garcia, a lot of people talk bad about Mikey, but I say Mikey got balls, man. He moved up and he challenged the biggest dude out there, the monster. He thought he saw something, but he still went out there and fought. You know what I mean? And guess what? He'll go fight somebody else because you know why? Mikey got heart, man. That's heart. That is heart. Win or lose, and that's what it's all about. So I take my hat off to that. If you love me, you'd fight me so we can eat together. Exactly. That's what boxers say. I forgot who was that said that, but yeah, if you love me, you'll fight me, man. That's why Spence said, hey, for the right amount of money, I will fight Jamel. Now, the reason why I wouldn't want to see that is because Derek is both of their trainers. He started with Spence, and it wouldn't be fair that if he gets on Spence's side, he knows how Jamel is made up. He knows his weaknesses and vice versa. So him pulling for either guys puts the other guy at a disadvantage if he's in that guy's corner. So that's the only reason why I wouldn't want to see that. And what did Spence say for $50 million? Now listen, for $50 million, let me tell you this. If Derek James said, listen, I won't be training either one of them and I'm going to let them fight, then I'd like to see that fight for $50 million. Derek James don't get in the middle of it and let them two shoot it out. Then we see how that turns out. And he ain't in either one of their corners. I'm with that. The Canelo Man fans try to turn this into something else. It's simple as calling a spade a spade. That's exactly what it is. And I don't even call them man fans. I call them groupies, man. Canelo don't have fans. He's got groupies, dude. That's exactly what it is, man. But I appreciate you guys tuning in, man. I ain't going to hold you all night, Mr. Finesse. Man, you're a pleasure like always, man. Every time you come through, man, you keep it real. And no matter who comes through, man, you don't change up, man. And I appreciate that, man. Salute, salute. And Antonio, man, I appreciate him coming in. He said what he had to say, but what could he say? He couldn't answer those questions. Because if he answers those questions, then he has to backtrack on everything that he said before about Canelo. So, hey, I salute him for coming in too, man. I appreciate you guys, man. That's straight up no chasers, man. So until next time, guys, I'm definitely out. Oh, wait. Let me get this. If Earl get undisputed and Charlo get undisputed, that would be 2 undisputed champions going head up. That would be huge. Yep. And I would only like to see that is if Derek James is not in either person's corner. But anyway, man, salute to you, Mr. Finesse, man. I'll be back on soon. I had to get my little 2 cents in on that, man. So next time, man, I'm out. Peace.